Good evening, my friends. বল। হ্যালো। আমি আমি আধ ঘন্টা পরে কথা বলবো। আধ ঘন্টা পরে কথা বলবো। Good morning, my friends. Am I audible and visible? Am I audible? Ronak, good evening. Good morning, my friends. Visible and audible. Ronak, am I audible and visible? I will talk to you separately at the end of the program. I do not know where are you now. In Salt Lake or in the cremation ghat. I do not know. I'll talk to you separately subsequently. Ronak, let me complete the program today. Shom Shanmohan Bishwas. Ronak. Today's subject is Subhash Chandra banished to Europe. Its punishment, exile to Europe, 1933, which will end in 1937. First, I will discuss the background of his punishment, exile, on conditions, exiles on conditions. And then I will discuss his activities in 1933 in Europe. First, the background. Let me go to the background. And I hope I reduced my voice on my, yes. Let me reduce background. Background is 1932. Gandhiji came back from the Europe to India from Round Table Conference. And Subhash Chandra went to meet Gandhi in Bombay. And you know, Subhash Chandra was against Gandhi's going to Round Table Conference unprepared. And also, after the Round Table Conference, Subhash Chandra criticized Gandhi. And the moment Gandhi came back to Bombay, he was from before, he was in Bombay there. In January, in December 1931, he was from before in Bombay to receive Gandhi and to discuss with him what happened in the Round Table Conference. And he did so. He met him, wanted to learn what happened in the Round Table Conference, and he criticized. Again, Gandhi is going to roundtable conference. After that, he was returning to Calcutta by train. He was arrested. He was arrested from the train. On 2nd January 1932 under Regulation 3, 1818. It was his crime. It was Subhash Bose's crime to criticize Gandhi. Definitely. Gandhi is going to roundtable conference in England. And also, it is Subhash Bose's audacity, courage to criticize again Gandhi for his activities in the roundtable conference. That's a crime in the eye of Gandhi and in the eye of British. And Gandhi saw in India, Subhash is the only most vibrant critic of Gandhi. And British saw the enemy number one in Subhash Bose. And he was arrested from train and sent to Sioli jail, sub jail. And he was arrested under Regulation 3 of 1880. That is of the period of the law is of the period of East India Company. Then he was transferred to Jhoria on 4th, on arrested, Sioli jail. And from there, and at that time Subhash Bose was sick. Then he was transferred to Jabalpur Medical College for examination. And in the military hospital, he was subjected to medical checkups on 6th June. Then he was sent to Bhoali Sanatorium for a period, where British appointed doctors examined him, and possibly that time Niratan Sarkar, Dr. Bidhan Chandra Rai, and Sunil Bose, the nephew, Sunil Bose, the first cardiologist of India, went to examine him. And as per records I am seeing, they are supposed to go to examine him. And the Calcutta team advised to transfer Subhash Chandra to Calcutta Medical College. But British was in a mood not to allow any entry of Subhash Bose to Bengal. In all means, they are trying to prevent Subhash Bose's entry into Bengal. They deputed their doctors who advised his transfer to Europe to some sanatorium. And Subhash Chandra accepted that. He rather accepted that banishment, that exile to Europe. This is the background. In no way British was in a mood to allow treatment of Subhash Chandra in Calcutta. Though in those days, Calcutta hospitals under British and some other private institutions was better equipped than the rest of the country for medical management. But Subhash was not allowed. British was afraid that if Subhash Bose comes to the Bengal, come in touch of Subhash Bose, that will create troubles for British and maybe for Gandhi also, because you have already noticed that Gandhi, from the days of his entry into Congress and conquering the leadership of the Congress by different manipulations, was trying to minimize the strength of Bengal Congress and Maharashtra Congress. Because in India, this is the Bengal Provincial Congress, most active and biggest and most active, and then Maharashtra Pradesh Congress. Gandhi could not control these two provincial congresses. That's why he was trying to reduce the power of these two Congress units and gradually was trying to strengthen the Central Province Congress Committee, which was already under the leadership of Nehru. And both British and Gandhi wanted Subhash not in India, but exiled to somewhere else. Better in Europe, minus Germany and minus UK, minus Russia. Conditions: Subhash will not be allowed to go to Germany, not to UK, not to Russia. They are the conditions. Anyway, Subhash Chandra accepted that for two purposes. Because by that time, he has come to know that Europe soil is maturing for the next World War. And also, Europe is a better place for his medical management. He accepted, but Subhash Chandra wanted the expenditure of his treatment and stay in Europe be maintained by the government. But government refused to give any payment for his stay and for his treatment. Naturally, family of Subhash Chandra and Subhash Chandra himself has to arrange for all this expenditure and arrange for his movement from Bombay to Europe. Initially, Subhash Chandra thought his family will be able to manage the expenses. But that time, it is Sharad Bose also in the jail. The man, his elder brother, Nezda, is also in the jail. Naturally, income of the family was not adequate to help him in this expenditure in Europe. Then some private persons came forward, and Subhash Chandra was hesitant to accept those offers. But he thought that he is not only the son of the family, he is the son of the country. He has dedicated his whole life. That's why it is nothing illogical or immoral to accept funds from other private persons of this country. He accepted that. Then I'll read some. This is the background of his journey to Europe. Now I'll read a few lines from book My Uncle Netaji by Dr. Ashok Nath Bose. I'll read some lines from this book because the activities of Subhash Chandra in India up to 1933 is known to us from the authors who are in this country. But his activities in Europe, only few observers are there, whose books, whose records are available in India. One of the books is definitely Avinath Bose, the eldest son of Mezda Sharat Chandra Bose, who was at that time in Germany reading his undergraduate and then postgraduate engineering in Munich College of Technology, the most famous at that time in those days. Actually, his writings is important. Also, I will quote from other very important book. Subhash Chandra Bose, as I knew him, Kitty Kurti, the famous German Jewish psychoanalyst. That book, the next book by the Kitty Kurti, is very important to see the person Subhash Bose, the man behind the politician, the man, the bedrock of the person, the spirituality of the person. That is noted down in that book, in every pages. He has seen the spiritualist Subhash Chandra behind the politician, behind the revolutionary Subhash Chandra, the spiritualist Subhash Chandra. And from the book of Ashok Nath Bose, we will see his activities, political activities, which as a student of engineering, he could see from near and from distance. First, about the middle of January, I am quoting, January, the government of India, based on the recommendation of the civil surgeon of Lucknow, Lieutenant Colonel Buckley, made an offer to uncle permitting him to proceed to Europe for treatment at his own expenses. They, however, refused to set uncle at liberty so long he was in India and to allow his family to take charge of his treatment at home. Condition, they will not give liberty to Subhash Chandra in India. So long in India, he will be under jail, in jail. And also British will not allow the family members of his own family members to take responsibility of his treatment. Conditions in India. And an offer more or less on similar lines was made to uncle about 16 years ago. About 16 years ago, in 1926, the same offer was given to Subhash Chandra. When Subhash Chandra did not accept that offer, but British was compelled to transfer him to notorious jails in Burma. 3 different jails in Burma. In 1920, and he was there from 1925, and in 1926, when he was in Burma, that offer British gave to allow him to go to Europe on his own expenses. That time, Subhash Chandra refused to accept that offer. And what was the intention of Subhash Chandra? I have told already. His first priority was to know the international situation better from the soil of Europe. Because after post-Versailles Treaty regarding Germany, how the situations in Europe is evolving towards the Second Great War, how the forces aligning in different planes towards the second world crisis, and also for his from before to be acquainted to the world leaders, the different political leaders of different countries in Europe, and for his treatment. Treatment. And another thing was very important. V.J. Patel, Bithal Bhai Patel, who was once the colleague of Deshbandhu Chittaranjan Das, a Swarajist. He is the senior brother of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. But he was not a Gandhian. He was a Swarajist. He was a leader in the Central Assembly, a Swarajist. For his sickness, he was in Vienna for treatment. And he is the only man up to that day from the side of India to try to internationalize the issue of India's independence on the world platform. Before that, neither Gandhi nor Nehru, none has tried to internationalize the problem of India in the international plane, agitate the issue, demand the independence of India in a world forum. That is needed. That is international politics. That is global politics. You have to agitate. It is only V.J. Patel, by his own capacity, was agitating in different global forums. He wanted to meet him and add strength to him. Here are the reasons. V.J. Patel. You will know subsequently there is a declaration, joint declaration by V.J. Patel and Subhash Chandra against the leadership of M.K. Gandhi. Few lines I am reading again. Until then, particularly, very little had been done in that behalf except by late V.J. Patel, the renowned Swarajist leader and the ex-president of Indian Legislative Assembly, who was one of the very few leaders interested in foreign propaganda. All this Uncle felt made his visit to Europe indispensably necessary. Clear? That is the background of his acceptance of the offer by British, allowing him to go to Europe for treatment. These are the backgrounds. Okay. The persons who came forward to help his movement to Europe, the important names are late P.C. Basu, was a barrister at law, a great and sincere friend of our family, that is, of the Bose body. N.C. Mitro, solicitor to the government of West Bengal for about last 30 years, also a great admirer of Subhash Chandra, though politic in the opposite front, the solicitor for the British government. Ajit Kumar De, maternal uncle of the Ashoknath Bose, who was sincerely devoted to the uncle. These are the persons who helped managing the affairs of his journey to the Europe. And from Bombay, S.S. Gange, the ship S.S. Gange, took Subhash Bose on 23rd February 33, in S.S. Gange, Subhash's journey started. But even at the journey point, when entering into S.S. Gange, the ship, he was not a free man. He was a prisoner. British was so afraid. None could meet him. He was so afraid. The British was so afraid. Only when ship is in the mid-ocean, he was declared free. Only in the mid-ocean he was freed. And this ship reached Venice of Italy, Venice port of Italy, in 10 days. That is on 5th March that reached. And in Venice, his friends who came down from Germany and Italy, all these areas, they received him. And in Venice port, it was a state reception by the government of Mussolini. Mussolini sent his officers to receive him, and he was given a state welcome by the government of Italy. And also the Indians from Italy, Germany, all came forward, including his own nephew also came to receive him. He stayed there for 3 days and then went towards from Venice, only Venice one day on tour in a boat journey. He could stay only for 2 days in Venice. Then he moved towards Vienna. Vienna, why Vienna? Let me, and it will be a mistake for me if you do not mention the persons who financed it, helped financing his journey. Oh, one thing. In this voyage, 2 doctors accompanied him. One is Dr. Eshen Sen and Dr. N.G. Moitro. Also, they are the government officer. Apparently, that government officer was very cordial, very gentle to Subhash Bose. Apparently, it was thought the gentleman is helping Subhash Bose, but not. Subsequently, it was discovered that that gentleman was a spy of the British, and he was observing, recording whatever Subhash Bose is doing in the sea for last 10 days, and to whom he is talking, what he is talking, and this person came back to report to his master, the British government. British is so much afraid, and the persons who financed is one is Kumar Devendralal Khan, the so-called king of Narajol, of West Midnapur, today's West Midnapur, Narajol Raja, Narendra Kumar Devendralal Khan. He was once the friend of Subhash Chandra. Kumar Devendralal Khan of Narajol, Sri Nipendranath Sarkar. These are the persons who gave some financial help, and family was also definitely there behind it, from Vienna to Germany. Okay, then, and in Germany, from the very second day, the reporters, important reporters, started meeting him, and it was his entry into Europe was a news on the European, on the international plane. It was a big news. I have told you, big news. Subhash Chandra Bose is a big name. First, to resign from ICS in the beginning. That was a very big news. None could imagine this. And he is the opponent of, not only number one enemy of British, also opponent of Gandhi. There are 3 things which was very important to make him famous in the newspaper circles and from Europe. But that time Vienna was not part of Germany. At the end of the first Great War, Vienna became an independent country. On one side, the Ottoman Empire collapsed, broken into pieces. Also, from Germany, Vienna got the freedom. and stayed as an independent country. And Vienna that time, remember, is the first socialist country structured on the basis of the principles of socialism in that time. The first socialist country in the world is Vienna, having about 10 million of peoples, that is 6 million of peoples, that is 60 lakhs. The whole Austria, that is I mean Austria. Austria was an independent country at that time, free from Germany, having its own government, a socialist party controlled government. The whole Austria population is about 60 lakhs. And on Vienna city, there is about, in those days, 20 lakhs of population. And Vienna was at that time very famous for tourists from all over the country, and very well planned city and decorated nature. Nature was in every areas. Nature was not disturbed in building the city. Vienna. Vienna, moreover, one thing I will tell you, Vienna at that time was very famous for the subject medical science, also psychoanalysis. Topmost psychoanalysts were there in Vienna. Very educated class, very disciplined, educated class, and the birth of this Austria as a separate country at the end of the First Great War. On one side, the Ottoman Empire broke into pieces. Other side, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, that broke. And Austria got freedom, whose capital is Vienna. Yes. And the Nationalist Socialist Party, Nazi Party of Germany, where Hitler was rising, many times has tried to capture this Austria. Even one time in 1933, I think 33 or 34, the Prime Minister of Austria was killed, most possibly by some Nazi group. So not that Vienna in all planes was very peaceful, because different political groups was trying to capture power, though Socialist Party was ruling Austria that time. And I must mention two very important names there. One, definitely I will come to discuss, mention about Vijay Patel. But before that, I will mention Mr. René Fuelop Miller and his wife. This couple is famous in the media circle. They came to meet him. They were the frequenter to meet him. And naturally, media houses got access through this couple to Subhash Chandra. But the problem is, and Subhash Chandra started learning German language. He wrote some articles in German language. But that time Hitler's Germany was maintaining a good relations with England, though a hostile relations with France. That time Germany was maintaining a pro-British attitude and anti-France attitude. Naturally, articles written by Subhash Chandra regarding Indian situation and the torture of the British forces in India was not published in Germany, but it was published in other parts of the Europe. Other group is the Mr. and Mrs. Vetter. Also, that politically connect, this couple is connected to different political leaders of Europe, including the political leaders of Russia. These persons these two couples helped Subhash Chandra to establish his connections with their media houses and different political leaders in Europe. Now, how much time is now? 35 minutes. Okay, I can continue as a socialist. Then I will yes. That time Germany was maintaining a pro-British stand, but anti-France stand. Pro-British, but anti-France stand. But the relations of Germany with Italy was good at that time. Naturally, so was a journey from Venice to Austria was not a difficulty. Also, its journey, and moreover, one thing I must mention, in the conditions imposed on Subhash Chandra by the British, not allowing him to go to Germany. His entry into Germany was not allowed. Entry into Germany, UK and Russia. It is very apparent. He was allowed to go to other countries. His entry to Germany was not allowed because if with Germany he gets some motivation, if he can motivate Germans, that can be against the interest of the British. That's why British is very afraid. And UK, very afraid. UK do not like to see Subhas in the soil of England. Because if Subhash Chandra goes to England, the Indians who are in the UK will come in contact with the Subhash Chandra. And all these Indians in UK will be rebels, electrified, such electrifying personality, and British was afraid to allow such a man entry into UK. And not Russia. Russia is already a communist country. If both can manage some contact with the communists in Russia, that may be against the British Empire. Yet Russia is rising at that time. Naturally, British was afraid, very afraid. And now I am coming to very important point, that is how Subhash Chandra started internationalizing the problem of India, the issue of India's independence on the international plane. That is a very important thing. In warfare against a country, here in the British, you have to have your electrified spirit that will help you win the war psychologically. Psychological warfare is very important. If you are psychologically very strong, your victory is half done. And then, by international politics, if you can bring your friends from the international plane, from other countries, your victory is more easily will be achieved. You have to make your issue, make your demand placed in the international plane. And if you can have contacts, physical, military and intellectual, in other national powers, that will strengthen you. And British never wants any Indian to go outside, internationalize the issue of this Bharatvarsha. Gandhi never tried it. Nehru never tried it. Because Gandhi and Nehru was always a British-made politician. They will never hurt the interest of British Empire. But Vijay Patel is already in the Vienna trying to internationalize the issue, the problem of Bharatvarsha. He is creating propaganda in the Europe. At that time in the world, Europe was the intellectual capital, no doubt, intellectual capital. And League of Nations was still active. League of Nations was in Europe. And the first Great War was in Europe. With coming, the second Great War will be from Europe. Any agitation for this Bharatvarsha must be from Europe. In the meantime, a group of well-meaning persons with pronounced sympathy for the cause of Indian independence, headed by Danish lady of the name of Madame E. Horab, had recently founded an organization under the name of and style of International Committee for India. International Committee for India, with the office in Geneva, that is Switzerland, with the object of advocating the case of India's independence. The committee used to publish a 4-page mime-grabbed bulletin every week containing concise articles and important items of news on and from India. Apart from a number of European sympathetics to India's aspirations, the committee had already enlisted the support of Dr. Tarak Nath Das. That Dr. Tarak Nath Das, a Bengali, an advocate, a lawyer of international name, a revolutionary at the same time, who is working for India from America, Tarak Nath Das, and Mr. V.J. Patel, who was once the president in the Central Assembly and who was a Swarajist, once colleague of Chittaranjan Das, and recently the Subhash Chandra added to this list. He became another member. That forum of in Switzerland, International Committee of India, to propagate the issue of India's independence. V.J. Patel, which at the and that's why, and British knows the efficiency of ability of Subhash Chandra. They are very afraid not to allow Subhash Chandra to go to Germany, lest he develop contacts with the German leaders, not allowing him to go to Russia, afraid of any possible contacts with the communist leaders, and not to UK. If he goes to UK, he can electrify the Indians there. He can be a dangerous man, like again that which happened in the first decade of that century, that when in early days in a British was killed by the Indian revolutionaries from UK. That's Savarkar organized unit who killed a British officer who once was very much dangerous persons operating in India, serving in India. He was killed in England, soil of England. That afraid, British is very afraid, so that no other persons, Indians living in UK is electrified or motivated to be rebellious against the British interest. And one thing I'll tell you, this one thing, and here this V.J. Patel, he was a wealthy man. He was spending money for propaganda from Europe to internationalize the issue of the problem of India's independence. And he, at that time, in a will, gave 1 lakh to Subhash Chandra so that that money can be used by Subhash Chandra in Europe for the publications, for international propaganda for India. And after that will, and the important thing is in 1933, here in India, this side, here in India, this side, the disobedience movement was suspended by Gandhi himself. Suspended by Gandhi himself. Yes, 1933. Yes. Suspended. Yes. Suspended the disobedience movement in India was suspended by Gandhi. That and its suspension of the movement in India was criticized by Patel, many intellectuals in India, and also strongly criticized by Subhash Chandra and V.J. Patel. In a press statement from Vienna, there is a joint statement by V.J. Patel and Subhash Chandra against the leadership of Gandhi. They clearly told Gandhi's leadership has come to an end. He will be able no more to lead the country. And they criticized strongly the suspension of the movement. And that was it. And remember, Vallabhbhai Patel, the younger son of V.J. Patel, was a Gandhian. Vallabhbhai did not take this lightly. When Amanath Bose, after the death of V.J. Patel, came with the will to Bombay and tried to execute that will, because in that will the probators was not Vallabhbhai Patel. Probators was other two persons of that family related to V.J. Patel. But Vallabhbhai Patel went to the Bombay High Court against this will, and Subhash Chandra was hesitant to join in this case. It was very insulting to fight for the case. And naturally, Vallabhbhai Patel prevented Subhash Chandra to use that money which was in the will by his own elder brother, V.J. Patel. Subhash Chandra could not use that money. And do you know who was the advocate for this Vallabhbhai Patel? The famous Bhulabhai Desai. That very Bhulabhai Desai, that time, played in the court against Subhash Chandra. But subsequently, in 1945, in the INA trial, this very Bhulabhai Desai is for the INA, is for the Subhash Chandra. This change of characters. Situation corrects a man. And I told you I will remain confined to 1933. One very important thing, 1933, there is a very bad news for Subhash Chandra. Very bad news for Subhash Chandra in Vienna. Very bad news for Subhash Chandra. In July 33, James Sengupta, that time Congress President, Bengal Congress President, James Sengupta, mysteriously died in the Ranchi jail when he was imprisoned. This James Sengupta, I will refer to this, and that date was 23rd July 1933. That news went to him and he was shocked. Because why I am sensitive about this James Sengupta. Once James Sengupta had a group in Bengal Congress against the Subhash Chandra. He was always trying to harassed Subhash Chandra. James Sengupta group. There was 3 groups in Congress that time. One led by Subhash Chandra and Mezda Sharat Chandra, this group. Other group, Jain Sengupta group of the East Bengal group, and other is the Gandhian groups. And because I have told you, Gandhi was always trying to keep the strongest Bengal Province Congress Committee weaker by favoring, by inciting conflicts in different groups, in fightings, so that Bengal Congress will remain weak, so that Gandhi as high command can manipulate the whole Congress. Right? He was helping these dissident groups. James and Gupta was one of them. But one thing happened. What is that? That I am telling, you know Hisley murder case? You know Hisley murder case? Hisley murder case, on 16 September 1931, there was firing by the British police inside the jail. Hisley, that is today's Hisley campus, there is IIT Kharagpur campus, Hisley campus. Inside the unprovoked firing inside the jail. And that killed 2 political prisoners, Tarkeshwar Sen and Santosh Mitra. After getting that news, Subhash Chandra went himself physically to Kharagpur to bring the dead bodies. And there was a big meeting in Calcutta Maidan criticizing this barbaric firing inside the prison cell. Do you know who was present at this meeting? It was Kavi Guru Rabindranath. In that meeting, he presided over the meeting. Subhash Chandra went to the residence of Kavi Guru, and Kavi Guru agreed to come to this meeting, to protest this barbaric firing inside the prison cell, unprovoked. And do you know who was on the right side of Kavi Guru and left side of the Kavi Guru? On one side, it was Subhash Chandra of Kavi Guru. On the other side, it was James Sengupta. And on the night before, Subhash Chandra went to James Sengupta. He took him to these meetings. And after this meeting, Subhash Chandra resigned himself from the post of the president of Bengal Congress and made James Sengupta the president of the Congress of Bengal province. That is the relation. How he bridged over all these conflicts. And that was a shocking news to the British and also Gandhi, because in this way Subhash had been able to cover the bridge between the 2 factions of the Congress. James Sengupta had been won over by Subhash Chandra. That is not a good news for Gandhi. That is not a good news for the British. Such a man, James Sengupta, should not be allowed to live in this world. He was arrested, put in the prison cell in Ranchi. That was the winter time, very severe winter time. He was not even given a dress, a towel, a combo. He suffered from pneumonia and he died from pneumonia. And this horrific death of James Sengupta inside the prison cell of Ranchi, I did not know. It is Siddhartha Shankar Rai pointed to this fact and gave me the details of that mysterious death. It is a murder. James Sengupta in the prison cell, not even a towel, not even a combo. In that winter, he suffered from pneumonia and died there. how much time? 55 minutes, I think. I told you I will confine today to 1933, Subhash Chandra in Europe, and tomorrow I will try to tell you something about the 1933 part, and then, if possible, I will go to 1934, Subhash Chandra in Europe. Let me stop here today. What is a good evening? Wrong now? Yes. Subhash Chandra's Europe part is not very much known to us. That's why I want to be a little in details about this part. Europe stayed from 1933 to 1937, because this chapter of his life gave him the scope to acquire knowledge of the different European forces that made him an international figure, a world leader. Subsequently, Netaji of the INA and the liberator of this country. That part we should read in details. Also, we must know the man behind, the spiritualist side, and that will be shown by Kitty Kurti in his volume Subhash Chandra Bose As I Knew Him, because that lady is a German Jewish psychoanalyst. That is very important. Though a small book, but very important book to know the bedrock of Subhash Chandra, the spiritualist Subhash Chandra. Let me stop here today.